everyone, it's Lainey. Welcome back, and welcome if you're new to another card video. I have this stamp set, Fabulous Friend. This is an older stamp set from Spellbinders. As you can see, I purchased it on sale for $3.24 from Hobby Lobby. I just got done making a card using this stamp set for a friend of mine, and I made a blonde version here. So I thought that I should make a brunette version because I'm brunette and I do have another girlfriend that has dark hair like me. So why not make two versions of the card? I also have Sun Rays embossing folder, and then I also have the Labels 5 cutting dies. So I'm going to be utilizing these three Spellbinder accessories today. But first, let's get stamped up. And real quick, if you're not familiar with the Fabulous Friend stamp set, I really like it because I like the mixture of fonts. It's got some script fonts and regular font. It also has a couple of flowers and leaf details that you can play with. So it's got hello, friend, happy birthday, hey bestie, I miss your face, and my favorite, you don't look a day over fabulous. Beautiful, fabulous, and gorgeous. So just a really fun set to add to your collection, especially if you can get it on clearance for a couple bucks. So here I have my mini Misty, and I am using 110-pound cardstock, and I don't want to put it directly on the paper because I just used it. It's still got some ink on it. So I'm kind of making this a little more complex. All right, so I wanted it centered in the on the cardstock, and I'm going to use Memento Tuxedo Black. I am going to be coloring this. I'm not going to just be stamping it out. So this works well with alcohol markers. I'm going to be using two different brands of alcohol markers today, but I will do my best to link everything that I use in the description box down below. Let's get this stamped. Press it down. Okay, and it's kind of light, so I typically like to stamp twice just to darken it up and make those lines thicker. Kind of like a coloring book. But because I'm going to be stamping it more than once, it's definitely going to need a few minutes to set to allow the ink to really dry, just so I don't have any smearing or bleeding. I guess it was more of bleeding from the ink in the alcohol markers. So I'm just looking it over. I feel like I need to do it one more time. And I have not colored in so long, and it is one of those things that practice makes perfect. And, you know, if you don't use it, you kind of lose it. So I really need to incorporate coloring back into my weekly routine because, you know, it just gets kind of bad. So I'm just going to go ahead and put all of this together and put it to the side of my desk. But I'm going to let this set for about 5 minutes and then we'll get to coloring. Alright, so I've let this dry for a little bit. I have pulled some alcohol markers. Like I said, I'm using two different brands. I think I said sets earlier, but I've got a few here pulled from the TriBlend, which is 3 markers in one, and then I have some other alcohol markers here that are just like an Amazon brand. I think it's like on a Ohuhu. I don't know. I don't know how to say that, but I'll definitely link it down below. I'm sorry, Hooked on Phonics only worked so far with me. I cannot sound out things to save my life. Alrighty, I do want to definitely say something in the comments down below if you remember Hooked on Phonics. There was a blue set and a red set. Okay, so I did this quite a while ago and I swatched all of my markers. So this is this set here, and I believe I have 3 different sets of this. and I like them really large so I can really see what I'm working with. I'm a very visual person. And then I swatched out my TriBlends. I just wanted to show you this because this is how I work. This is how I know which colors to pull. And sometimes this isn't even enough. Sometimes I still will swatch them out. Just because, especially with these colors, they're all so similar. But nevertheless, just wanted to show you this. Okay, so what I am thinking is maybe, should we start with the floral or should we start with the hair? Let me see here. I'm going to start off with two different kind of turquoise colors, or yeah, more kind of turquoise. Let's see. And I like this brand in particular because it's got the fine point on one side and then it's got the larger brush on the other. And I prefer the tip, so that is really what I gravitate to. I will say that, you know, these markers are great, both of these. I do think that the Copics blends like butter, but because I like the fine point, the Copics are, you know, you get what you pay for most of the time, and the blending on those is just perfection. So I know that it would be a good investment. I just would have to buy the markers and then replace the tips, and I'm not too sure about doing that at this stage. But knowing me, I know that I will add those to my collection one day, just not right now. I'm going to use what I have and maybe try to use these up a bit before I make that kind of commitment. So I do have to turn my work, and I like to do that just so I can make sure that I'm really staying in the lines, especially with something so detailed as this stamp. This is definitely more of a spring color palette, but I like the softness of the colors that I pulled, so we'll see. We'll see how it turns out. All right, so I'm going to take this color and I'm going to color this top little flower in the same color. It's G340. And like I said, I have them all pulled right here so I can remember to put them down in the description box for you. Because choosing colors sometimes, especially when you have so many to choose from, it can be a bit overwhelming. Or at least for me, it can be. Oh, I've got one other part. Okay, so I'm going to use them and put them to the side. And now I've got a few purple pulled, and I need to bring out my swatches so I can remember exactly what shade. So we've got the Pastel Violet, the P3, and then a Pale Lilac, and what is this one? 180. We've got this one up there. So let's pull the two purples and color with those. And I'm gonna swatch it up at the top. Okay, so I definitely want to start with the lighter one, the Pale Lilac. And I'm gonna do this little bushel right here. And I think I'm gonna color all of it, and then maybe add another layer or two and maybe try to do a grading effect. We'll see. So for this part in particular, I'm going to let that dry. And then I'm going to just go ahead and use the Pastel Violet and come over on this side and color these the little darker color. And if you just heard a snore, that is Gemma. She played in the dog park this morning, did a little sunbathing, and now she's trying to take a nap, and she just kind of grunted and snored at the same time. So I think she's saying, "Mom, quit talking." All right. And let's see. I think I actually want to come back in with this Pastel Violet. I probably should let this set a little bit, but I'm going to do 2 coats just to darken this up to give it a little contrast on this bottom portion of the flower. Yeah, and I'll let that dry and see how that works. And now coming back in with the Pale Lilac, I'm going to add a coat. I don't know, should I try to do every other or maybe just the first 2? I don't think a gradient's really going to work, because I think that, I don't know, let me add 3 coats to the first layer. I've got 2 to the second, and then 1 and 1. Let's just let that, if that makes any sense, let me just let that set, and we'll see how it looks when it dries, because they will change as they dry. Alrighty, and I love this pale pink blend from the TriBlends. I'm going to come in with the dark and color in the center of these 2 flowers here. Since these flowers are the same, I'm going to color them the same. Probably going to have to add another coat to that, but now I'm going to come in with the light and color on the petal portion. In just 1 coat. I want this to stay really light because I want the center of the flower to really stand out. Okay. And I pulled like a yellow and orange for the center of these 4 flowers here, and I have 2 different pinks pulled for it. But I am honestly on the fence. So I think I'm going to let this set and dry and move on to the leaves. I did pull some green, but I also have this pulled as well. If you didn't have the TriBlend markers, I pulled 3 different greens: grass green, vivid green, and horseradish. And these are really, really pretty together. But I think I'm just going to take the easier route and come in with the light of the light green blend. And we'll start with these little sprigs. I love this set because it already has the different shades picked out for you. It's less work when you're feeling kind of overwhelmed. And, you know, something like this that needs, or it doesn't necessarily need, you could definitely do more of kind of like a monochromatic look. But I think it's really pretty to utilize the season and, you know, make it very colorful. But sometimes you just have too many supplies. I hate to say it, but it's true. And things get just they get too much for me. I missed a little part of that flower. Alrighty, and then now I think I want to kind of do a variation of the green. So let me see here. Let's come in with the mid-tone, and I'm gonna color. There's two different leaves on here, so the more of like scalloped type of leaf, I'm coloring with the mid-tone all over, and one coat there. Alrighty, and then I think with the other two types of leaves, let's come in with the dark. And very carefully color in these two leaves, this darker green. So pretty. But I feel like, you know, everything going on so far is very light, and using the three shades of green really adds a different, I don't know, it's, you know, it's a great variation. It's easy on the eyes, and I like the contrast as well. So it's just making me feel a couple different things, I guess. I'm gonna come in with my mid-tone again, and let's make just little swoops in these little, I don't know what they're called. I called them sprigs earlier. But right there at the stem, just a little bit of the mid-tone. Okay. And with these lighter, with these scalloped leaves, I'm going to come in with the dark and very lightly add this green over the details of the leaves in that center part. And for the two darker leaves, I'm going to come in with the dark again and add some detail with that. And let's give it some time. If I need to add another coat, I can, but that's what we're working with so far. Just very light in spring, but now you can see the variation of the leaves and the different color tones. I think it's so pretty. All right, for the remaining 4 flowers, I'm gonna come in and do these the same, color them the same. It's Hollyhock, RV180, and oh, I think I grabbed the wrong one. No, it changes. Okay, I wanted more of the purple one. I didn't want that vibrant pink. So it's coming in more pink right now, but as it dries, it kind of sets into more of a shade of purple. So all of them are colored, and I think I'm gonna use the same color to color these little details right there, just to make it more balanced. And I still need to do the center of those flowers, but I'm just not sure. So now I'm just going to color the skin and color the hair, and I'm going to be using the TriBlend again, Earth Brown blend, and then it also has a Fair Skin blend, and these are just perfect. So I'm going to come in with the mid-tone, and I like to start out, that actually looks a bit darker than I wanted. Maybe I should have started with the light. But I like to outline first and then color it in. So the hair is done, it is still drying, and I colored her skin. I want to bring in my TriBlend again, and I'm going to use the light to add a little color on the lips, and I'm keeping the glasses white. yeah, I just don't want to color them. I don't want to mess them up. And like the card earlier, you know, the glasses are white and I really liked how that looked. So that's what I'm going to do. And for the earrings, I'm thinking like, should I use this pale pink for the earrings or should I bring in this color here? You know what, maybe let's just use the pale pink because there isn't as much of that color. Let's come back in with the light and I'm going to color the entire earring. And there was definitely some marbling on this stamp that I didn't notice initially, which is kind of a bummer, but I'll just make it work. And I'm taking the mid-tone and just creating a little bit of a shadow on the inside of the earrings. And I think that that is it. Oh, we still haven't colored the circles. Rats. What color? Like I said earlier, I pulled some yellow, but I just feel like that is too bold. Let me get one of my TriBlend yellows and see if that's going to look better. Let me see what, yeah, I think I'm going to go in with the Citrus Blend, this lighter color. I feel like that's a better color for the color scheme here. I think that that looks quite nice. Should I add maybe just a little more detail with the dark? Just kind of doing a half moon on them. We'll see how that looks when it starts to dry. All right, I'm gonna pick up my markers and then we're going to bring in the die and we're going to cut this out and we'll start building up our card. So the dies here, I'm going to use, I guess, is it the largest one? I think that that will fit best. Let me actually pull the other one and see. No, definitely not. So obviously center aligning it, but also kind of cutting off or making sure the die is really close to the base of the neck, and then also, you know, is having it centered. And I'm just going to put some washi tape over this so nothing shifts. Just make sure that this is really snug. And run this through my Platinum 6. Alrighty, so I cut it out, and this is a perfect way to use stamps that you don't have a coordinating die with. And for this one in particular, I don't believe that it even came with a die set. I think it's just the stamp, and so there's no fussy cutting with this. And I basically just made a frame for it. So I really like doing something like this instead of cutting it because I am horrible at it. All right, let me think. What should be the next step? We need to start building our card. I think I might want to layer this again. So I think I'm going to cut this out actually at least one more time, and then I need to grab my panel and emboss it. So I cut the shape out again. We will glue that together. And I cut my panel down, and it is measuring 4 by 5 1/4, and it's got that nice little sun ray there. And I've got my card base, which is an A2 size, which is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. So trimming this down provides just a bit of margin, but also still allows plenty of room for the focal point, which is the portrait. Okay, so gonna come in with my Barely Art glue and glue these two pieces together. And I'm doing this for stability. I'm going to prop it up with some foam tape, but I felt like it needed just another layer of thickness. And I think it's about time to almost get some new glue. It's just running low and not cooperating with me as it used to. All right, and moving quick. Let's make sure that it's layered well. Not doing a very good job. It's about to get stuck. Just keeps on shifting a little more than I wanted it to. But those two layers are now glued down. And let's go ahead and just glue the panel straight to the card base. Making sure that I have plenty of glue on here. And then let's place it. Is it straight? Is it even? It seems to be. So just getting that pressed down. Making sure the entire panel is really flat so there's no bubbling. And I've got this thinner foam tape and then this thicker foam tape. What should I do here? Let's just use this thinner one and kind of outline this shape. So it's going to be one continuous strip and just bending it as necessary. And then I'll fill in the middle. Okay, and now maybe let's just add a few strips here to make sure that it doesn't concave in the center. And this is, I don't know if I mentioned it, it's from Dollar Tree. It's the thinner of the three. It comes in a 3-pack. And this is really my go-to, this thinner one. I really like it. Okay, and let's just cut off a tad more. Perfect. So now for the dreadful part, in my opinion, removing all the backers. That's one reason why I liked to do the outline, because it's just one continuous strip. And it's easily manipulated, you know, as I need to bend it to kind of round off the corners. Alrighty. Making sure my card, let me move my card in the center of my glass mat here. And centering. Okay, centering it. Perfect. Just going to get that pressed down. And now we need to work on the sentiment. Let's, oh goodness, magnets. Let's see how this looks. So you can see the emboss, you can see a little bit of the dimension and the colors. I'm loving the colors that I chose. I was really nervous about some of those pinks. But now let's look at the sentiment and let me pull some cardstock. I pulled a scrap from my Concord and 9th, and this is Aqua Sky. And I thought that this would be nice to really just wrap it up, and it's going to be fully balanced with the blues and the pinks, and this is just such a pretty color. So I'm going to use I Miss Your Face, and it is in a script font. And yeah, I think we're going to just, you know, have it, you know, at the bottom, right, justified. So let me bring back in my Misty. And I am prepping the stamp here because I have not used this one before. So it can get a good impression. And centering it in the paper there because we're going to have to cut this down after it's stamped. I'm going to use my anti-static and then stamp up our little stamp here with our Versamark, and I'm going to emboss this in white. So pressing that down. That seems like a really good impression, so I'm just going to leave it and bringing in my catch paper here and my embossing powder and super fine detail. Cover up the stamp. I like to let it set for a moment, and then let's just kind of dust off the excess there. The mist part, now that it's got the embossing powder on it, doesn't look too good. But we'll just heat it up and see, and if I need to do it again, then that will just be fine. So before I bring out my heat gun and start melting that powder, let's put our powder back in our container so nothing's flying around. And I'm going to turn it on high heat and let it heat up for about 20 seconds before I apply it to the paper, so there's no warping of the paper. So I cut the sentiment out, and we're going to build it up as well, just so it can set nicely down here. But I want to talk about the card for a moment. So we definitely have symmetrical balance with the shapes used and emphasis on the portrait, so to speak. So your eye is drawn directly to the focal point, which is this pretty girl here. But then using this embossed folder of the sunshine rays, this helps draw your eye away from the focal point, which leads me to, or should lead your eye to, the sentiment itself. So I just wanted to kind of describe some of the elements and principles of design for this particular card so you can better understand why I made some of the decisions that I did. And I love the depth as well from the foam tape. And I made that so crooked, but we'll make it work. I wonder if I can remove it. Well, look at that, I sure can. It's not quite long enough either. Let's just make this work. Just need a couple little more pieces here. But I don't always describe why I make certain decisions, and sometimes you know, it's more difficult for me to articulate. But in design, there's always elements that the viewer likes, that makes the eye more comfortable, and you see it everywhere you go, through the advertisements and labeling. It's all a science, if you will, that has been around for a very long time. And if you're ever having problem with kind of placing things, maybe Google those elements and principles of design to maybe help you or inspire you to place things in a different way, or add or take away, because you don't want too many. You can definitely go overboard. I need to build that up a little bit more. But if it's not looking right to your eye, there's something off, and the elements and principles of design will definitely help you understand the composition that you're working with and make the necessary changes. So I hope that's helpful. And there we go. I'm not going to add any embellishments. You definitely could, but there's a lot going on with the embossing folder, the dimension, this added shape, the colors. So I'm going to leave it because you can overdo it, but this is my personal preference. And there you go. I miss your face. I'm gonna send this to my friend Indira in Texas. And I hope you enjoyed the card. Please give it a thumbs up if you did. And remember to like, share, and subscribe so you don't miss out on another card. I post a card every week, and then the rest of the videos throughout the week are Cricut craft based. So I'll see you in the next one, and thanks for watching. Bye everyone.